Welcome to our new episode. As promised, this is a Q&A and we received many questions of you which we will answer. We even have some footage to illustrate our answers. So, first question, where is Polaris now? We are wintering Polaris in a place called Finnsnes at 69 degrees north, about 35 nautical miles southwest of Tromsø. Olderhamna Båthavn is one of two harbours in Finnsnes. It has a very substantial mole and is very well protected from wind and waves from most directions. We are moored on a floating pontoon, which means that the pontoon lifts and falls with the tide. We have a tidal range of about 2 meters here. In winter, when all the lines are covered by snow and frozen stiff, it would be very difficult to adjust the lines. Whilst the harbour mole is publicly accessible, access to the pontoons is protected by a gate with a code. But we never felt that this would be needed. We feel very safe here. Finnsnes has good connections by bus and ferry to the nearby airports of Bardufoss and Tromsø. And if we fancy some larger town vibes, it's only a 75-minute trip by the Hurtigruten to Tromsø, also called the Paris of the North. Are there any facilities in the harbour? No, unfortunately there are no facilities. But Catherine also likes to do some swimming units in the local swimming pool at the school, where she can get a long and hot shower too. How do we get fresh water on board? During the winter months, the freshwater taps on the pontoon are closed. In the cold temperatures, the water pipes would simply burst. There is one heated water tap on the guest pontoon across the harbour, so getting water on board without moving the boat is quite an exercise. Fortunately, we have a water maker on board, which produces about 30 to 40 litres an hour, which is plenty for us. How much snow did you get? Well, according to the locals, this winter was exceptionally warm and wet. We had a lot of rains with temperatures just above zero, but we also had periods of quite intense snowfalls. The highest was about half a meter. However, it never stayed long. There's quite some snow here. But it's beautiful. The only trouble is that our Starlink antenna is accumulating snow, and that stops the satellite signal to go through. It has a heating inside, but apparently it's not strong enough, so I cleaned it. Now let's see whether it's strong enough and we can get some satellite reception. How cold does it get up here? We are in March now, and our experience so far has been that the air temperature can go up to as far as 8 to 9 degrees Celsius, and we measured a low of minus 17 degrees Celsius. The water temperature is at its coldest now at 1 to 2 degrees, and we had a thin cover of ice a few times during the winter, but nothing to worry about Polaris or the other boats here. How does snow affect the stability of a boat? I am not a stability expert, but this was a question, so here's what I think. We have to look at different aspects. A boat at sea is different to a boat moored in a safe harbour, and snow is different to ice. Generally, I would say that a boat moored securely in a harbour can probably tolerate quite a lot of snow as long as it's distributed evenly on its deck. Ice is very different, as in certain circumstances it can form high up in the mast, on the stays and on the halyards. The density of ice is much higher than the density of snow. A boat icing up, particularly at sea, can be very dangerous, as the build-up of ice can make the boat unstable and capsize it. We only cleared Polaris once, when the snow on the deck reached about half a meter. Are you warm on Polaris? Yes, we are very warm. Our hydronic heater is working perfectly. At an outside temperature of minus 15 degrees, we still get the saloon up to 24 degrees Celsius. And as strange as it sounds, a layer of snow on the deck actually provides a layer of insulation too. To keep our diesel tank full, we regularly have to get fuel from the nearby car petrol station. Have a look how this works. Time to refill again. We were at about 130 liters. We used 100 liters in, when was that? 2 weeks maybe? When I last filled it, 2 or 3 weeks. It takes about a liter an hour. And with this cold, we need to get warm. It comes in very slowly. The diesel is very thick. Earlier today, Catherine cleared Polaris from snow for 2 hours. There were probably about, what, 30 centimeters of snow on the boat?
More.
30 to 40, depending on where it was.
Yeah.
So, quite the work. And now it's filling up the tank, so that's canister by canister, and it's walking to the fuel station about 300 meters with the trolley. Get 80 liters that fit in, and then pour them into the tank. So I probably need about 120 liters. So that's 2 walks, and then I'm probably gonna fill them up so we don't have to walk next time. So that's about 3 walks probably I have to do today. Good question. I don't know. Maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Probably.
So that's the light we get. It's not so bad.
But in an hour it's going to be dark again.
I think, yeah.
So we have to do the activities where you need some daylight. We have to do them over lunchtime, otherwise it's pitch black.
So I'm not a risk taker, that's why. Okay, ready?
But this morning we had like that much snow.
That much, yes.
That's my daily workout, getting the big plow out and clear the whole pontoon.
Yeah, but sometimes Lars is coming with the motor, I don't know how you call it.
Snowblower. Sometimes.
Snowblower.
Yeah, when there's really much, they come with the snowblower, but not today. So.
Yes, and it's really a lot of snow.
It's getting dark already.
Yes. And over there I can do the shopping, grocery shopping. So much snow.
So that's the last run. Started snowing again quite a bit, so we were lucky. Just getting the slot where there is no snow. So that's all done. I'm gonna fill these 2 cans and then we're finished.
And Polaris gets back into the snow cover again.
Is Polaris insulated, and what do you do against condensation? Polaris is a standard modern Bavaria and its hull is very difficult to insulate. We were able to put insulation in a few places, but generally the boat is not insulated. This means that condensation is a big problem. Just our breathing, talking and cooking produces about 4 to 6 liters of water in the air a day. We have a dehumidifier running 24/7, which keeps the air at about 40 to 50% relative humidity. Water condensating on the cold windows was a concern, until we came across a hack we saw on the YouTube channel Sailing Yacht Salty Lass. We put some simple bubble wrap on the outside of the windows and fixed it with some plastic cling film. This simple trick is enough to eliminate condensation on the inside of our windows. Thank you for showing this, fair ladies of the good ship Salty Lass. How did you experience the winter storms up there? Watch this live footage. Well, I was just checking the weather forecast just as one does, and I think we might be in for a surprise tonight and tomorrow. As it looks, we might be in for quite a hammering. You see this huge low here, it's at 974 between Svalbard here and the north part of Norway, and it will basically move along the coast with quite some wind strength. So we see here that's 50 knots, but that's the normal wind. If we go into the gusts, I'm just gonna show you the gusts. So the gusts layer, there's almost 80 knots in here, so that's 85 knots in this place. So poor fishermen out here, that's almost 150 kilometers per hour. So it's huge, and this is going through here. I will show you also the weather warnings that are in place. Looking at the website of the official Norwegian Meteorological Service, we see up here, that's further north than where we are, we see there's a massive weather warning. If we look into this, it basically says there's a lot of snow that is coming down, and 33 to 40 meters per second, so that's 66 to 80 knots of wind up here. And you can see we are around here where this dot is, a little bit further inside, about here. So we're just at the edge of this, and for us there is still quite some wind gusts of up to 40 knots or so, maybe slightly more, and also some snow that will fall here. Here we see the wind map, and you see here that's north of Tromsø basically, where there's gonna be very much wind, but we also have a danger area here, a warning area in the area where we are. So it's gonna be an interesting night. I think it starts over tonight, tomorrow morning, and then we'll have the whole morning tomorrow. Should be high winds and snowfall. So we'll see how this is gonna pan out. In anticipation of bigger snowfalls in the coming weeks, we have taken down the bimini now. So we will have snow in the cockpit. That's easier because then it's on the boat, it still needs to go down, but if it's getting heavy, and we had some very heavy snow, we risk to damage the tubing and also the canvas of the bimini. So we took it away, and we have an open cockpit now. I've also taken out the Garmin displays that we had out in the cockpit. They are rated to a temperature of -15, and it may be that we're gonna see -20, on -30 up here isn't unheard of for short periods of time, but it's just too expensive to leave these displays out and risk major damage. So I took them out and put them down in the saloon to keep them warm. It's windy, stopped raining. You can hear the wind whistling, and it's gusty from the west. So far we had a few blows, and the harbor is absolutely perfect. There are no waves building up in here. We are well protected. There is the wind, but that's not so much the problem. And in the harbor itself, there's hardly any swell, so we should be fine. But we'll keep you posted. So the barometer has fallen from 1007 to 996, so over 10 millibars, 10 hectopascal actually, how I should say, over the last couple of hours. So it's quite a steep drop. We have also seen the wind picking up. The outside temperature is about 1 degrees. It's quite cold, and with the wind it feels like minus, but in here it's nice and warm. If you look at that, we have 23 degrees inside, so it's very cozy, and we're absolutely fine. The wind has shifted in a westerly direction, west-southwest. That's normal when a low passes, so we went from south to west. That's called veering, and we see that we had up to 53 knots gusts during the night, so that was quite a bit. It was a bit of a shaky night. Now the wind is coming down. We have a 6, so about 20 to 30 knots at the moment, and it should come down further in the afternoon. Outside it's a bit harsher than inside. There's quite a hoolie going. There's been some new snow, as we can see in the cockpit, but most of it is the wind has blown everything away. It's all white now. Quite some snowfall we have at the moment, but it's beautiful. So next question. Frank asked, what are your experiences with the flattened floating suits? Is the material breathable? So this is a flattened floating suit. It's a fisherman's supply, and it's filled with some closed cell foam that provides about 80 Newton of buoyancy. So it's not as good as a proper life vest, but it provides some flotation. You see them a lot on fishing boats. They are quite comfy to wear because they're so wide, but the material is not breathable. So if you're in a job where you actually provide or produce some heat inside and some sweat, you're going to be wet from the inside quite quickly. But to be on a boat, to stand behind a steering wheel in a hoolie, and when the water splashes in, these are actually fantastic. They're also great if you're down below and you have to get aboard quickly, because you simply in your pajamas even jump into these and you are quite well dressed for what's waiting out there. So we don't wear them often, but where we have to, they are really a great piece to have. Next question. Sailing Submariner asked, how do you find it not to have a chart nav table on the Bavaria Cruiser 46? So this is a Bavaria Cruiser 46, and as you can see, it doesn't have a nav table. We have quite a big saloon table here, and as you can see, it sits right in the right space. So if we have to work on the computers, we can work on the computers here. Also, we navigate mostly electronically, so we have the chart plotter up here with all the charts here. We have all the panels, instruments, radio, and everything is just behind me. And if we are working on the iPad or on the computer, we can do it here. In the rare instances where we use paper charts, there's plenty of space on this table. Okay, it's maybe difficult because you might be moving and shaking when the boat is shaking and moving, but we have to work with what we have, and that's what we have, so we can deal with it. But as I said, we mainly use electronics, and therefore paper is a recourse and not our main navigation tool. Last questions from Jazz. How easy or difficult was it to find a local storage for your sails and equipment? As you know, back in autumn we took down our solar panels, we took down the sails and a few other things, some lines, and we had to find a storage because there is no space on the boat. Either they are where they are or they have to go off the boat. So we simply asked around with the locals here in Finnsnes, and it was quite easy to find someone who was interested in giving us some space in their shed, and we could rent the shed for the whole winter for a little money, but we're really happy to use that. Thank you for all your great questions, and if you have more questions, put them down below in the comments box. We will answer them, and we might actually do another Q&A at a later point. Join us next time to watch our Arctic winter adventure unfold, and if you don't want to miss an episode, please subscribe. This helps us tremendously. Ha det!